Welcome to Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact. Each episode will cover legacy, hope, Black joy, funding sources, cultural shifts, equality, and so much more. Known as the brand maven who transforms organizations with her storytelling prowess, meet Larvetta L. Lofton, host of Black Businesses Matter.
I am Larvetta Lofton, your host and the founder of the L3 Agency.
We will provide inspiration and action while spreading some joy to a thriving community of Black business owners and leading thought leaders.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Black Businesses Matter. It's been a while since I've gone live. I just found out the last time I went live was August for Black Business Month. So, I had to come back for Black History Month, but we added Black Love. And I'm excited about it because I've got a couple here that I like to think, I like to call them couplepreneurs, right? They are couples that have built an incredible business. And I thought it was important to bring this show during Black History because we need to highlight Black love. And Black love is still very present. It's still amazing. But one thing that I want when you listen to this, I want you all to listen to how to do business together and that we want to showcase the importance of the word co, because co comes with collaboration, right? Co-author. And so it's important that we see this and this dynamic because we all know I Googled the top couple is Oprah Winfrey and Stedman. Oprah Winfrey and Stedman, whether they were married or not, that's what's listed. So apparently he's got some net worth, she's got some net worth, and together they are powerful. So I'm excited to bring our next guest. So guys, lock in, get your coffee, get whatever you need to get, and just really tune in. And you know what? If you want to ask a few questions, we'll take a few questions in. We haven't done that, but we can do that. The other thing that I want to share with you all is we can text now. So we're going to give you a text number where you can text in your questions. You can ask to be a guest. So we are excited about that we have this text message feature so that we can talk more and more with you guys. So let's get started with the show. All right. I'm excited, guys, because I've got a chance to sit and talk to this amazing couple, but they're from Chicago, born and raised. And so I have Melinda, who is the co-founder of 103 Collection, and that's Melinda Herron. Did I get that right?
Yes.
And I have her husband, Delfondo.
Yes, you got it.
Herron, who is the co-founder of 103 Collection. Before we talk about their business and what they're doing with 103 Collection, because I want you guys to hear the story behind 103 Collection, I think it's going to be completely novel because we just sat here and y'all told us the story. But before we get into the business, I want to talk about how did y'all find love with each other?
Ooh, wait.
Go ahead with your version.
It's always a version. It's always like his version, your version.
Right.
So
go ahead with your version.
I love it.
So
She actually let her husband go first.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's
All right,
okay.
so she always let me go first on this one. This is pretty good. So a partner of mine, he told me about a young lady he was seeing, and he told me that he was like, "Man, it's this young lady I want you to meet."
Okay.
She's very nice. I think you guys hit it off pretty well. So I'm like,
this was a friend who told you that.
Friend.
Okay.
This is my guy.
Okay.
Like, just looking
nice.
out. So I think she's very nice. I'm
Okay.
like, you know what? I'll take a trip over there with you.
Okay.
Where we going?
Okay.
I said to the east side. So we're going on 83rd and Saginaw.
Okay, guys, it's on the south side of Chicago.
83rd and Saginaw.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, we'll take a ride over there. So we took a ride over, and I remember coming up the stairs. It was dark in the place because her and her girlfriend shared an apartment.
Okay.
So it was dark in there, and she was watching Waiting to Exhale?
Uh-oh.
I think it was Waiting to Exhale. And then she had on a CVS. She on a CVS shirt.
Oh,
I'm from Julian, the ones out there from the J. We know what it is. But
that's
no
funny.
offense to CVS, I love you too. It's a lot of you.
It is.
So,
it is a lot. So they will come
It is
for
a
you.
lot. There's a lot. So
Cavaliers,
you
baby.
got them in the house now. But no, so she was watching Waiting to Exhale, and I just introduced myself.
Okay.
You know, I waited on her to call me.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All
she
right.
called me. So
she called you.
Yes.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It took 2 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks before.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the day she actually called me.
Mm.
It was on it was like April the 28th
Okay.
that you called me.
Is it
I
April
remember.
28th,
No,
Melinda?
1996.
Melinda's coming in with the
April
facts.
28th.
Okay, we're gonna go some rounds, but anyway, but anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
Right? So what's your version? Let me hear
Okay,
yours.
Melinda, get it right.
First of all, I can't even with him with these stories. No, I will say this though. Upon meeting him, I thought he was a very nice, respectable gentleman. So that was number one.
Okay.
Number two, I had a son previously from a different relationship.
Okay.
And so, of course, you being a mom, I'm like, okay, I don't know how this is going to, transfer into any type of friendship or relationship. So I was kind of apprehensive at first. So that's why it took me 2 weeks to even call him back, because I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I really want to be in a relationship, and I don't really know this person. But to fast forward, we went on a date, and I was like, okay, he seems like a pretty good guy. He had a job, he had his own car.
It's all about the car, clean the world.
And then I love the way he treated his grandmother.
That's beautiful.
Like that to me
that
was
spoke
like,
value.
Okay, this is great. And I knew he was grounded in church, so that was important to me too. And then once I did introduce him to my son. Just amazing the way he treated him, and that made me feel like, okay, I can give him a chance. Like we can see where this goes. And like this is to be our 20th year anniversary.
That's
so
what
obviously things
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I mean, just that alone, that you guys are reaching 20 years to be able to sit here and to be able to like each other and then do business with each other. That's a whole nother thing, right? But I do want to ask you all, like, as a little girl, and I'm going to ask you as a little boy. That's not offense, because you're not offended by that, right?
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because the girls, we talk about the little girl in ourselves, but what were you like as a little girl?
Oh my gosh, you know what? I feel like I went through a year of transition, because I know when I was younger, I was very quiet. I was a quiet child.
Okay.
I was a girly girl though. I loved to polish my nails, and I wanted to wear dresses, and I wanted to wear high heels. But I think my transition phase started when I got to probably about 6th or 7th grade, when I felt like, I had to be a little bit more outspoken. I went through a lot in my younger years because my mom battled with, an addiction.
Okay.
And I had to like really grow up. I couldn't, it's like those years are from 11 to 15, 16. I had to be a mature, an adult. I say that all the time.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot of responsibility at that age. And so I think that is kind of like what shaped me, to be this organized, always on task type of person that I am today. And I look at that, and I think that a lot of that comes from my aunt though. My great aunt, she helped my mother raise us. And so she grounded us in the church early.
That's good.
And so that foundation was there. And I feel like that's kind of like what helped me during that 11 to 15, like really mature and grow up as a young lady.
I love that.
So yeah.
I love that we've all talked about just that foundation, right? From church, and that foundation to be able, I think that the church has planted seeds in us to be able to grow and build business. So I think it's amazing, because when I hear these stories, I hear that as the common denominator, no matter what. Hey, we grew up in church. So for you, where were you like as a young boy?
So we're gonna get real in here. We're gonna get real.
Okay.
So
that's the only way.
Yeah. When I was younger, I was adopted.
Okay.
Right. So my dynamic was a little bit different.
Okay.
So my grandmother was the one who adopted me. She wasn't my blood grandmother, but she adopted my mom, and then she adopted me. Right. My grandmother instilled so much in me as a woman. I learned everything from a woman, and a strong one at that. She taught me how to, manage my finances, keep, stay organized. We had a candy store, Miss Trudy's Candy Store.
Okay.
So a lot of people.
Where was Miss Trudy's Candy Store?
It was on 103rd.
Okay.
It was right by Norma, right by the railroad tracks.
Okay. Okay.
So everyone would come to that store to buy candy. They would come to buy their fireworks for, the 4th of July. So we had a reach. I knew a lot of kids in the area, a lot of kids in the neighborhood. And she just told me about, the sacrifice of getting up and being a part and doing something, right? And just be, that early on, you don't know what you know until you realize what you know because of what she taught, right? So as I got older, those things started to work in my favor. As I moved later on in life, the little boy in me kind of moved away, right?
Okay.
Got caught up in the emotions of what my mom was involved in.
Okay.
Unfortunately, my mom dealt with mental issues.
Okay.
My father was absent, right?
Okay.
He came around later in my life, and by that time, I was already involved in the streets.
Okay.
The streets had spoken to me, and
Okay.
then he tried to recover. It was too late,
Okay.
But the balance of going to church in between that,
and then meeting me, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
He's like, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course. And then the balance of, having all that happen at one time, that was just kind of a cycle of things that was happening as I started to redirect my life. The streets had an open door policy for me.
Okay.
It say, hey, we welcome you.
Right.
And then in the back of my mind, I'm like, this can't be the way, right? I got to figure a way out of it. But I learned a lot from the people that I was around.
That's awesome.
And
these were all women.
Correct.
Awesome.
And my grandmother, when she taught me how to balance the books at the candy store, the inventory management.
Okay.
I had
and how
I had
old
to
were
hire.
You? Like
I was 10. Wow. I was 10. I had to hire. I was even part of firing back then.
Wow.
So-and-so, I'm not gonna say, you know who you are. I love you still. So-and-so had
That's a great skill.
She couldn't work because she was late all the time, right? I still love you. I know you're probably gonna hit this.
But we all need to be fired in life, from something.
Yep. So I was responsible for managing that.
Okay.
So, how did that direct me? I was in the then I found a way into I played baseball.
Okay.
For during that time. But then I had to get pulled back into working in the candy store because I was all my grandmother had to rely on. So it was us, right?
Okay.
So I was always in that dynamic of I needed to protect her.
Wow.
So I always felt like I seen too many bad relationships because honestly, I was a product of one.
Yep.
Let's keep it real. I was a product of one. So I didn't want to repeat the cycle. It's easy to say, it's easy to be part of the cycle, but it's harder to break it because you see so many models around you that do that. So I said to myself, I'm like,
that's not it.
No, we ain't gonna do that.
And so the shift to marry this beautiful, beautiful soul here, was there a shift in your mindset when you met Melinda?
So when she called me.
Oh, right.
We just trying to. See, I just wanted to make sure. Listen, I'm going back to facts.
She said it took about 2 weeks. She wanted to make sure.
I wanted to make sure.
But you were over there like this. Where's she going? Yes. Wait. Did she call?
Wait, check.
That's what I was like. Hey, did I get a call today? No, you didn't get a call today. I know I gave her the right number.
I love it.
But no, the shift came because. When I met my wife, obviously having a young son, my grandmother at that time, I was 18, 19 years old.
Wow.
Right? My grandma was like, you're not grown.
Yeah.
You're not ready.
Yeah.
Which I tell my kids that, man, you're not ready.
Right.
But she never seen that side in me. I was preparing that. Many nights when I was thinking about not having a mother and father, I was like, I'm not going to be that. Right. And I love my parents. They gave me life, but they were teaching me something without being there.
Yeah.
Right. So that taught me some resilience. That taught me how to always be the head of my household and take care of my family.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So that's where it came from. Okay. It's actually what my parents taught me.
Okay.
In their absence.
What not to do.
Correct.
Yeah. And we don't realize that life experiences is about what not to do.
Right.
But what I'm hearing, which I think is so incredible, was that you were helping you notice how he cared for his grandmother. He mentioned how he had to care for his grandmother. which is how you guys can care for each other in business.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I'm seeing it. I'm like, there it is. Because that, I think, is the hardest part, is being able to care and respect the other person's differences, right, in business. And so when we talk about, when we were talking about kind of this romance and finance, the reason why I think it was important is because how do we take this, like you guys have this beauty brand, right? That's in Target, Meijer, Flourish. He's actually been on the show.
Oh, wow.
Amazon, the Shade Room Shop, and Empower Global, right? You've got this collection that's well known. And how do you all balance this well-known brand to be able to still have romance?
I just took you out this weekend. I think you need to go to church. You go ahead. I told you we come to.
Oh my goodness. First of all, let me say this. I feel like when you're with someone for over 20 years, first of all, you have to be confident in who you are as a person. I think that it starts there with who you are.
Okay.
Because sometimes people are in relationships and marriages and they completely lose themselves. They lose their identity. And one thing that I love about what we've done is he is who he is and I am who I am. So I feel like we've learned how to balance, like how to operate individually.
Okay.
But then also when it's time for us to come together and be a unit and represent what we need to, when we need to share something with somebody else, like with the world and who we are, I think that that's what's kept us grounded, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But
who's the motivator?
Who's the motivator?
I am.
No. It would be me. I'm the one that, see, this is the thing. And this is why I say we balance each other.
Okay.
I am I did my research. Let's go for it.
Okay. Got it.
That's me.
Got it.
He's the one that's like, hold on.
Wait
realistic.
A minute. Is this the realistic one?
Let's wait a minute.
No,
let's just go over this one more time.
Okay.
And but that's how we balance each other.
Okay.
Because I am you could tell me no 15 million times. I'm going to find that person that's going to give me a yes. Okay. I'm not going to give up.
Yeah.
I have that determination when I believe in something.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had situations where people are like, your business is not going to be successful. You're not going to be able to make it. This is not going to work. But with that determination for us to continue on, because the year before we got the deal with Target, we were ready to just leave it, just drop it all on the table. And
were you both in alignment with that? Excuse me.
Yes.
Were you both? Okay.
I feel like we were both at it at that point.
Okay.
We were just like, this isn't working. What's going on? And listen, I want to be honest with so many people. There are times that you are going to have days that you're not going to make money. You're not going to know how you're going to fulfill purchase orders.
Yeah.
There are things you're not going to know how your next dime is going to come through that door. But I feel like you have to be confident enough and believe in what it is you're bringing to the table to be able to say, okay, I'm going to get up today and I'm going to keep going and keep believing and fighting for what I believe in. And I think that we both understand that we balance each other, because it's a lot of time. We have a lot of conversations. And I tell them all the time, let's have a business meeting. There's a difference. There's a difference.
Do you all separate business, kind of personal? Like if you're handling, okay, I need you to start turning lights off. Is that for personal, or is that still part of business?
That still get mixed in. Right. I'm just keeping it real. We talk about business, talk about how stuff, they all get mixed in.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night, last night was like, you gotta shut that phone off. Like you gotta get off the laptop. So we still play that because we're working on something magnificent. At this point, my wife has put together something magnificent that I think is gonna really help businesses once they see what we are preparing to do, help them realign and like, oh, I never thought about that, because there's spots that black brands are not even in, that we haven't even tapped in.
That's true.
We're so focused on retail, you get lost in that.
Thank you for saying that.
But
Thank you for saying
we're
that.
We're on something totally different.
I love that.
It took her to really kind of dissect and pull back. Sometimes you have to pull back and unpack.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Let me unpack
this.
Okay.
Yeah.
This will make more sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this makes real sense.
But the balance, so here's what happens. And I think, which is why it was so important to highlight this, because a lot of times, right? You like, let's do it. Let's da-da-da-da-da. Having, okay, let's slow down. Let's move this. Okay, let's kind of, okay, I see you. And it's forcing you to go back and be like, okay, let me go research some more. Okay, then come back. But it's forcing a skill in you to say, okay, well, you're going to keep telling me no. I'm going to keep telling you, hey, this is what we need to do. But then on the other side, he's also making you work harder to say that, so that when you go into that room and they give you the no, you prepared. And so that's the part that having your partner who knows you very well, to be able to say, they're going to come for you like this. They're going to come for you if you're ready and set up. And I think that we don't have, and when I think about it, and I think I shared with you all, like I think about it, and I said this to you all, Beyonce, JC, Magic Johnson, Cookie. There is no way Magic can be Magic without Cookie. There is no way that Queen Bee can be Queen Bee without Jay-Z. Oh, that's right. We can sit here and play, and I love them both. I love them all. But there's something that gives, because here's why I say that, right? When we just saw the Oscars when Jay-Z said what he said, that was powerful because he got a chance to advocate for his wife the same way he's advocating for you in the house to be like, no, we're not doing that. We're going to go here. Right. But that level of advocacy is probably the most beautiful thing we can do. Right? Absolutely. It's the love that came from your grandmother for you to see him care for his grandmother to be able to build this business. And I don't think that, and then I shared with you all that I was recently, I Googled Jim Crow laws, and it showed that it was against the law to show affection. And so when you go into Black communities, you notice we don't show affection in church, but you can go to like Africa, they hugging, touching, kissing, but we are not able to do that. And so it's almost as if like we're trained, but that was literally a law. So when you think about this in business, right? You think about where we are. How do you all feel about that? How do you all feel about this idea of you work together? Can you still have public affection even though you work together? Or is that off limits?
Listen, this one right here, I have to tell him sometimes, like, cut it out. We are in public. Like, cut it out.
I love
it out. But no, it's definitely wanted because every woman wants to feel loved. They want to feel like their husband still is attracted to them, that they love them, and that they look at them like, that's mine. That's my wife. But I feel like the fact that was even part of what we couldn't do.
I know.
Like, I feel like that has definitely went through a systemic process through our culture.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people, they don't even know how to show affection. They don't even know how to.
Yeah.
They think that, being aggressive with you is a way to show affection. They don't know how to say, I'm sorry. I love you. I need some more time. And people the communication is not there.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times, especially in relationships, it can get really convoluted where people just don't know and they trying to express themselves, but it doesn't come off with what they're trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the reason why I think it was important to showcase both of you all, because first of all, it's a beauty business, right? So there's beauty for Black men and there's beauty for Black women. And why not have a couple to come together and showcase that? And I think one that speaks to one is self-care, right? Is one of them. And then ultimately, I think part of beauty is also you just want to feel good, right? Feel good, and make yourself feel good. We have moved this into like, it's all for women. But having you at the table as the co-founder helps to balance that. No, girlfriends, you can buy it for your spouse or your man or your brother and have him feel good. We've always had this directive as we're buying for us, but creating this ecosystem, if you will, that allows for us to all win, right? And collaborate together. Do you find that with the brand that you all have, that men are able to speak up with their self-care because they see you as, a co-founder?
Well, it's interesting because dealing with beauty actually deals with mental health. Because I'm going to share experience with you. So back in the day when I was trying to get waves, and there was no need for me to try to get waves. I would go with the S curl, the perm, and that was like that. Going into that experience was you had to mentally prepare for it. Like I don't want to do this, but I want to do it.
Right.
And you went through suffering just to try to look a certain way, and then as far as like using products back then that were abrasive to your face, harsh, to now have products that are plant-based, that are subtle on your skin, that are rewarding to the way you feel because you know how you're going to feel afterwards. Yeah. And when you're getting ready to step out with your lady, your friends, whatever, you're going to have some confidence. You're going to feel good. You're going to look refreshed. You're going to come with it. So I think that, that speaks, that topic has to be touched first, because so many times brands, can damage the way a person feels because it's a connection. When you make a connection with a brand, you're making a connection to it.
That's right.
Right? You mentally tap in with like, I'm going to get that because of this. Yeah. So that's the way, we try to make our customers feel, and we try to connect with them in that way. Like even from a beer standpoint, my wife, she always gets some.
Y'all have I want everybody to know this 103 collection made history as the first Black woman-owned vegan beard care line featured at Target.
Yes.
Okay, I just want the world to know that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hence his beard.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I love it.
So the thing about that is, my wife she was like, you need to show your beard. You need to get on that. And we were just talking about earlier, like getting on live and doing these things, but people actually connect with that. Yeah, they do. So I got to start listening to her, because sometimes I don't.
Recorded, Melinda.
Sometimes
we got it. Okay, I got it.
That's another fact. That's another one. I'll give her that one. Okay, all right. But in business, it's funny you say that, because in business, we do have things that we have to meet in the middle with, right? And back to the point of how making men feel is, you want to make them feel rewarded when they see you. They kind of see themselves. They see what they can, what can I make of this brand? What can I make myself feel like while I'm wearing this brand? And that's just like the same thing goes with clothing, when you see a brand, you see recognition, brand recognition.
That's right.
So although folks won't know exactly what you have on, you know what you have on, you know what you've been using, so you can speak to it in such a way that it makes you feel good.
So now that, I want people to understand is you've learned from these two incredible individuals who have been married almost 20 years. I want to introduce you all to the brand. And I want to mix, because I think people need to know who you all are, right? And then connect and know this business. So you started in 2015, right?
Yes.
To create 103 collection, to carve out a distinct niche in the clean beauty industry, which I love that. Offering meticulously crafted skincare, hair care, beard care, and body care solutions. And I will be completely honest with you. When I saw this, I sent you a message. I was excited. I was like, oh my gosh, because this idea of clean care, I use a brand because I listened to her on an interview. I wanted clean care. I didn't want to go to Lancome. I wanted somebody that was going to be very transparent about what was in these products, because environment plays a role. Yes, and so tell me when, like 103 can tell me, you already told me you were a girly girl. Yes. So girly girls are always coming up with something, come kind of concoction. Wait, I can do this. I can make this. Yeah. So were you that girl? Did this come about for 103?
First of all, I got to say this, because I got to touch on the clean beauty aspect.
Okay.
First of all, when we started in 2015, less than 2% of brands were even in the clean beauty market space that even focus on melanated skin. So that's just think about that.
Let's sit with that. Less than 2%. I want, all these
I agree. Great products that we were running to the stores buying,
that never had us.
They were not putting us at the top of the spectrum. Yeah. So this is what's so interesting through this process. So I have been an entrepreneur basically my entire life. I've had jobs here and there, but the entrepreneurship was there.
Okay.
So I'm going to bring this full circle. When I was 14, I had a summer job.
Okay.
Day camp counselor.
Okay.
That job ended. I was like, okay, I like my check. Yeah. So what can I do to make more money? Mm-hmm. So at that time, my mother was a hairstylist.
Okay.
And so I would watch her do women's hair, and I would see how their whole personality would change once they got their hair done.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, I need to learn how to do this because I like, seeing how these women look, and start doing my friends' hair. They start coming over doing their hair. And so once I got out of high school, I went to cosmetology school.
Okay.
Worked in the cosmetology space, was a professional stylist. So fast forward to, right before we started 103 collection, I had a bad allergic reaction to some skincare products.
Okay.
And I was like, this
probably
is crazy.
One of them popular ones.
Oh
right?
my goodness.
Okay.
I was just like, what is going on? And so we were just like, I was like, I gotta find something that's going to fix this. We started we will order all type of stuff, or essential oils. We were ordering butters and all type of stuff, mixing things. And I was just like, okay, if I find something that works, I'm going to stick with this.
Okay.
Start doing that. Start telling people about it. They were like, oh, I have sensitive skin too. I have eczema or psoriasis. They started using the products and they was like, oh, this works for me. And I was like, this is what we need to do. And that is how 103 Collection started. But the more interesting story is why we even named the company 103 Collection.
Please tell.
And you want to take this story?
No, you're doing so good. I'm just admiring you right now.
Oh my God.
I love
That's
it.
what I'm on today.
Just too much.
See what I mean?
That's what I'm
This
on.
is Black love and
That's what I'm
romance.
on.
This is romance and
Oh my
finance. All of
goodness.
it. I love it.
Listen,
Cute though.
this one, I swear,
We can blush here.
Yeah.
We can blush. This is a show we can blush, Melinda. So let the blushing come through. It's okay.
No, and it's so funny because this 103 Collection actually started because we both lived in the Roseland neighborhood at one point in our upbringing, but we didn't meet. We didn't know that. We didn't know each other. We hadn't met. But later in life, when we were sitting talking and just like, wow, you grew up in Roseland? I did too. Well, where did you live? I lived, on this side of 103rd. Oh, I lived on this side of 103rd.
Wow.
So when we were trying to think of a name, we were, like he said, we were writing down 103rd. And I was like, this is so crazy. So he grew up on 103rd. I grew up on 103rd.
Wow.
He went to grammar school, high school, and we both went to college on 103rd. So it was like divine for us to name our company 103 Collection.
Wow.
Yes.
Like, that's beautiful. Like, that's a beautiful story.
Yes.
Like, I'm sitting here like, when they say matched,
Yes.
like matched, like divinely matched together. And so when you think about skincare, because what I noticed was that, to your point, when I saw clean, I was just all over it, because the idea of clean, I want you to give us a definition of clean, because what happens is they throw these words, organic, anti-cruelty, but I want you to share, what is clean beauty?
I'm glad you asked that, because we always have to clarify and give the distinction between vegan products as well. So clean beauty is, the best way to explain it are, first of all, ingredient listing. Let's go straight to the ingredients. You want to make sure that the ingredient listing are ingredients that you recognize. Okay. You don't want words that are 20 characters long and you don't even know what that is. So that's a red flag already.
Yeah.
So if you see things that you don't even know how to pronounce, that's a red flag. But clean beauty is ingredients that are free of any chemicals, any genetically modified ingredients, any ingredients that could trigger or potentially harm you internally, because people don't know that. Correct. Our skin is our largest organ. So everything you put on your skin is absorbed into your body. And so clean is definitely eliminating all of those toxins that could possibly cause or trigger, things to happen to you internally in your body. Vegan, because we get this question a lot as well. And they're like, well, how do you determine vegan from natural? Well, vegan means that there are not any animal byproducts in any of your products, any of the ingredients. I'm sorry. And so what we found is, and why we wanted to be vegan and clean, is because a lot of those ingredients were what were causing a lot of the allergic reactions. People are not aware of these things because they're like, oh, well, I was using it and I didn't notice it right away, but now I'm having, these breakouts or allergic reactions. And, a lot of these products are loaded with fragrances, and people don't know fragrances could have thousands of ingredients in them. And we don't know that because if they're not required to report a certain percentage. So you can have all of these toxic ingredients in your products and not even know it because it's labeled as one ingredient.
Yeah.
So I just encourage anybody, if you're looking for clean beauty, research these ingredients. Make sure you know what you're using. Our products are botanical based. So we have a lot of vitamins and ingredients that are great that help nourish your skin. And that's what we want.
And do you all distribute here, manufacture in Chicago or around Illinois?
So our manufacture is in the United States, but not Chicago.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard this and I just want to clarify, is your manufacturing plant like clean? Like I've heard. So
so they have to maintain the certification.
Yeah.
As well as, we'll pop in.
Okay.
Pay a visit.
Okay.
But they have to maintain the certification in order to carry that title, in order to produce.
I've heard that. Okay.
So what happens too is animals get sacrificed for the greater good of beauty. So to keep that out of the mix, we don't include it because there's a human side, there's a sensitive side that goes along with that. The way they're treated to see what works and what doesn't work on them. So, we're very careful about that because people love animals. We love animals. And then we have to be very tactful and mindful that if we stick with the things that come from earth, they help you flourish just the same way. You know what I mean? It's just finding the right balance. Does it work for all? No, it doesn't, because certain people, it just doesn't work for their type, but we cater to all types, all skin types, right?
I love that.
That really romanticize your experience when you're, using our, blueberry cranberry facial scrub. You're in the mirror, you're having a conversation. I'm getting this on, I'm rubbing it in my face. I can see it now, right? You're going through these emotions, you're going through these steps. These are steps. So as you're going through that, it's a connection. So that's what we are building.
So was he the self-care guy before he met you?
I used to hold on.
No.
Let's see what this is. Hold on.
He said those words so eloquently. I'm like, oh, okay. So he was in there doing this well before. No. Okay.
We're not. No, he wasn't. You know what's so funny? And I will share this because this is an interesting story.
I was clean.
Actually, when I first
all white, everything.
Wait.
Listen, check this. Listen, we're going there. I used to come pick up all white polo, all white pants.
Oh, so he was clean.
All white car. When you got in, was anything dirty or out of place? No.
So his definition of clean. So let's be clear, Melinda.
I'm gonna let him go.
It was on me. It was on me. Clean. He's saying I had a car that was clean. I was clean. I had on a clean white t-shirt. So see, that's where we have to realize, right? Men and women. And so here I am thinking clean, beauty, elderberry. He's thinking, no, I washed my clothes. I smell good and my car smelled good.
Exactly.
And I had that all white on.
I love it. But was he into this level of beauty? Let me say this.
No, and this is what's interesting.
Okay,
when I first started, when we were testing the products out, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. The scrub is great. He was like, I don't know. So then I said, you should just try it. Like you'll see, you'll notice the difference. I don't know. So he's trying and he's like, I don't think it worked. He stopped using it. Okay. He started having little breakouts and stuff on his skin.
Okay.
He's like, okay, I'm gonna try to scrub again. Now, oh my gosh. He is like, where's the scrub? I need the scrub. And I'm like, oh, now you want to use it. I told you it was gonna work. Look at his skin.
I mean, first of all, I just think in this place of beauty, and I've said this years ago, that the brand, I said the company that comes out and showcases a brand that is for the woman and the man from Black is going to win because the woman is influencing the man.
Absolutely.
And so naturally, right, I want to feel the way she feels, what she got, right? And so being able to do that and do that in such a beautiful way and build this brand, and it's authentic because I can tell, like he's so authentic. Like I'm going to tell you, I'm in the mirror. Like he's literally walking us through from that space. And I think ultimately we didn't see a man as beautiful, right? We didn't see a beard as beautiful. You know, it was just like, oh, he was well groomed.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, he was
Right.
nicely kept. But there's something to be said because you know what you said? Because we don't know what's harming our body inside.
Right.
That's the part.
Yes.
Like what's harming us inside. Yeah, you can be, this, but these ingredients that you don't know about could be harming you from the inside.
Yes.
And that's important. And so at the end of the day, that's a man or woman or child. We don't want anything harming our bodies. So I want to let everybody, their site is 103collection.com. Check them out. I just want to throw that in there. But I do want to talk about your subscription box. You built a partnership with Kinder Beauty, a renowned clean beauty subscription box company that successfully expanded your reach, engaging over 42,000 customers in just 2 years. So tell me, how did that relationship happen?
You know what's so interesting? It leads me back to what I said earlier. I'm going to keep going, keep going, even when somebody tells me no. So originally, every year I set a list of goals. So I know what I wanted to do.
Okay. Do you all do that together?
Yes, together and separately.
Okay.
We do together and separately.
Good.
And so one of the goals I had set out the year before, I had a list of beauty boxes that I wanted us to be in. And I kept telling my husband, I'm like, wow, I just pray that this works because these are great, amazing businesses, great boxes. I think that I sent them an initial email. I can't remember exactly. I think I sent them an email. I can't remember if it was email or social media or whatever.
Social media.
But I sent them a reach and they were like, oh my gosh, we're definitely interested in your products.
Okay.
And this is going to be a completely transparent moment. So we were featured in that box about 3 or 4 times with three or four different products.
Okay.
And so they were like, oh, we absolutely want your brand. And I told my husband, like, I was shocked because I put this on the list and they are one of the largest. They're like number 3 in the beauty subscription box. And I was so shocked because I think our first one was like 4,000 units or something like that.
The first run.
The first one was like 4,000, but the last one,
20.
Yeah, we did like 20,000
20,000
units in the last one. And so this is for me to share with anybody. Like, you have to put goals out there for yourself. Put them out there and you have to work toward those goals. Like, even if it seems unattainable, work toward them. Because we were able to check them off the list and we had a great partnership with them. Like, the next year, I thought that was going to be it with the first one, but they reached out to us and was like, no, we want to have you guys in the box again.
Wow.
And we want to feature your product. It was a different product at this time. So that expanded our reach because originally when we first started, it was really for us to expand opportunity in the beauty space for people with melanated skin.
Okay.
Well, our partnership with Kinder Beauty actually opened the gate for us to market to everybody. Because those people fell in love with that.
Because Kinder is a general market, right?
Yeah. Well, it's primarily Caucasian based.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
It's primarily Caucasian based, and they love our products. And I think that's because we made our products.
Packaging is beautiful.
Thank you. That blue. I went back and forth about that specific color.
It's beautiful.
Like, I wanted it to be a specific color, but I think that the opportunity that they gave us was to showcase that our products are made for people that have sensitive skin. It was not necessarily specific for one skin tone. We had somebody ask us a question about that. And
so,
yes,
since you say that, I do want to ask this question. And I wasn't, but you guys set me up for it. So I'm going to go for it. Tell me, I could be wrong, but I wonder, we tend to, how can I say this?
Go ahead and get it out.
We tend to hate on the fact that we built this product and it can't be for all people. We're sellouts, right? And some of these brands, we know, because I love them, that, they done sold out. Now they sell into, but the fact that you made it, we are making a product for sensitive skin.
And that covers it all.
That covers it all. But here's the reason why I'm upset is because, right, the general products, right, our general market products, we're selling to us.
Absolutely.
But as soon as we have a product that's made by us, we have to sell to just us. No. So my question is, was that generated by your co-founder of let's sell to everybody? Or was that you? I'm just curious.
I would say it probably was both of us,
both.
honestly.
Good.
Like
That's
we
good.
knew, you know, it's so interesting because when we first started developing the product, the main problem we were trying to address was sensitive skin.
Yeah.
We never thought about anything about skin color. Anything. I think it was that 70% of U.S. consumers say that they have sensitive skin.
That's true.
And so we were like, okay, well, we got to fix this problem because if I'm having allergic reactions and then all of these other people we know are having allergic reactions, this is a big systemic issue.
Yeah.
How do we combat that issue? And so we didn't even get into the scope of melanated skin until after we start selling our products because, you know, you have to look at your surroundings. That's who was around us.
Yeah.
And so when they're saying, hey, I have sensitive skin. Oh, we have a great product for you. It's fragrance free. Awesome. It's perfect. You're going to love it. It's going to be your go-to if you're looking for something that's clean.
So I commend you all for bravery on that one. Because I think that, which is why with this pod, we're not telling you, and I think I try to tell people, this isn't like we're saying all Black businesses are amazing. What we're telling you is sharing one business that happens to be Black for, you know, it's by a Black person, but it's not for Black people. But for some reason, we tend to lock us in there and not be able to expand our reach. And I think that you guys have done it so organically because we've seen it, right? We've seen it with so many brands that they sell out from Shea Moisture all the way down to Mayo, right? They've said they sold out. They're talking to these people. But at the end of the day, why do we have to do that? Do you think we have to do that?
No, we so here's the thing that there's a book I read and it's about mindset.
Okay.
Right. Having a fixed mindset and having a growth mindset.
Yeah.
A fixed mindset, you know, like we talked about earlier, you know, you go to school.
Yep.
Get this wonderful education.
Get that degree. Yeah, you win.
You go work for a corporation. You get set in your wage. You retire. Get your 401k. Get your pension. Get out the way, right? And then it's the growth mindset that says, yeah, I hear that. I need that too, but I need more. What else is out there? What else can I do? We're creators by nature, right? So when the light was created, it wasn't created for Black, white. It was created for mankind to get to places safely. And that was created by a Black person, right? So you just think about it. When we create with all in mind because we have to. That's how we, you know, contribute to society. And that's how you leave a legacy, right? One that can be looked at, adorned, and celebrated. And that's how you build that. And you don't build it with just one avenue focus.
Correct.
So, of course, us as creators, being Black as creators, we want to be celebrated in that moment for things that, you know, we've created, come up with, and we were able to learn and share with our folks, but we have to share with the world, right? Because that's how, you know, you really get rewarded. And when we look at the reward, we look at the sacrifice. We look at all those that came before us to get us to this point. We were always going, you know, looking to be at the table. Got to get to 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 the table. Now we're like, you know what? Hand me that piece of wood.
Yeah.
So let me add to that because I want to say this. I feel like a lot of people can have their own, they have their own opinion. You have your right to have your own opinion. But I think that when it comes to, you know, like Black business and ownership, people have to understand, even with the program that I just completed, some people go into business with the thought of this is going to be a legacy brand. We're going to continue, you know, owning. This is it. And then some people go in with the opportunity, I'm going to scale this brand and then I'm going to sell it.
Correct.
So I think that, you know, people are quick to give their opinion, but they don't know what the goal is or the perception is of the owner.
That's right.
You know, so I think that people need to give people grace because everybody doesn't look at I want to own this business for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Then there are some that are like, no, this is a legacy. I'm going to pass it down to the next generation,
Correct.
the next generation.
Correct.
And I think us as Black business on the reason, and it's good, this dialogue and conversation is amazing. I feel like it needs to happen in our community.
I know.
But I feel like people need to give everybody grace because you don't know what their goals were.
Yeah.
And what their goals may have changed even when they started the company.
And because it does,
Exactly.
right? It does. Like in business, you probably looked at where your goals were when you started 2015 to now. Very different.
Yes.
Very different.
But it should be. It should be the same. I don't think any of us are waking up every year and be like, yep, I'm still the same. No, I've grown.
Exactly.
Right. And so I think that I love your bravery and your courage on being specific around that, because oftentimes we're either shunned on both sides, whether we come in as we didn't say, now we want to go and market to a different segment. We wrong if we don't say it. Right. But then when we say it, we still wrong. Right. Oh, you can't make it fit for us. But here's the beauty of life, right? We all, when it comes to beauty, which is $1 trillion business, why not?
Why not?
Like, why not? And to know that what they say by 2030, we're going to have more biracial people from that standpoint. So so to me, it's going to happen, right? So when you've got biracial individuals from hair to skin, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get it anyway because they have Black, half white, right? So you're going to realize, and at the time when I was coming up, right, it was Noxzema. That was the go-to product, right?
Yes.
That was the go-to product. And we've had Toy Prince. We've had some great beauty. I call you guys pioneers in this space that are coming in and really shaping the way that we see things from a beauty standpoint. I think oftentimes we haven't seen it. We saw Lancome. We saw it everywhere. And knowing what you guys are doing. So I do want to ask you all this question around subscription box. So I've heard good things about subscription boxes in this. And I see that it has worked for you guys. Do you think they're here to stay?
You know what? After reading a couple of things, actually some businesses have actually closed.
Yeah,
They're announcing that they're closing.
Yeah.
I think,
So that's why I wanted to ask you about that.
I think COVID actually
Caused
a lot of businesses to have to restructure.
Yeah.
Only because the conglomerate, and we know who that is,
Yes,
the
we
blue
do.
people.
Yeah. I like the blue people.
The blue people, we already know they are coming in and they have changed so much. Think about all of the stores that used to be inside malls that have closed.
That's true.
I think that consumers, and we share this too. Consumers are getting smarter
every day. AI is gonna get them smarter too.
Oh yeah. Listen, speaking of AI, we have an AI powered skin quiz.
Oh, I saw it. Yes. That is actually very cool.
Listen, and it's the technology that,
because you take a picture. Yeah.
You
Okay,
take
I
a
know
picture.
I did
You
it.
can take a picture with your phone or upload a selfie, and it's going to ask you questions, about your daily routine and things like that. And then at the end, it gives you product recommendations.
It sure does. I actually did it because I try to have my guests so I can make sure that I was actually because otherwise I'm just I'm fake. But from there, I love that. That was really cool.
I feel like with AI technology, consumers becoming smarter, they are getting the firsthand. Also with social media, they can see stuff right away.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, do they commit to this subscription box, or do they just go and do their own research?
Exactly.
And then purchase the product. Right
so
away.
I felt like subscription boxes, someone who's worked in the marketing industry for so long, I thought it was a great way, much like, when I would go to award shows, they used to give us these goodie bags, right? And the goodie bags was, to me, things that people were testing to see how well they do. And so you had an opportunity to do that. But then after you kind of go through a few of them, you're like, I like what I like. I only want to go there. I want to be loyal.
Right.
So I felt like the subscription, but you have to constantly re-up. Like, okay, who else can we get to be dope?
Right.
And I was having a conversation about that. It's just, so it's like, you got to keep going higher, higher.
Yes.
But it's like, but I like those 6 things.
Right.
The last
I need them
2.
back.
I need them back.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, is that going away, or maybe a generation is coming up that's going to be different?
I think there's a big shift. Like she said, there's companies that have pulled back from doing it because they know they see what's happening on the financial side.
Yeah.
So the subscription box is really good because it was building up in the earlier stages.
Right.
But then it gets outdone because you get overdone with
the
products because you have a lot of them. Before you know it, you have
a closet full of them.
Right. And you got a bunch of go-tos, or you just trash the ones you don't need.
That's true.
So then some people started, wanting to find their brands that work well for them. And some people still wanted them.
Yeah.
But the vast majority, by pulling away, that's kind of why you see
can
some
see
of the
that. So are you the finance man?
Of course.
I have to ask that question.
Of course.
Because so knowing that this was the motivator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Motivating. You're more of the realist. Let's look at the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So are you an Excel spreadsheet kind of guy?
My God.
Oh, did I call it
out?
Melinda?
Color coding, everything tabs.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
You're
my
that. Okay.
So it's fun. It's funny. It's funny you say that, right? Because we were just going over some financials. Was it 2 days ago?
Mm-hmm.
2 days ago, and I drove her nuts.
Oh my God.
She was like, "You are making this so hard.
I was like,
you are making this so hard. I just can't. I don't like the way you explain it. I can't stand it." But I told her, I said, "Listen,
that's awesome."
Because me being in a corporate space, I said, "Listen, when they ask you questions, you are ready."
Yeah.
So guess what? What happened?
Ready.
No,
it's
fast.
Yeah.
No,
I stopped you. I said, "Listen." As we were going, because it was some very hard numbers.
Okay.
Some very hard, tactful build. I mean, you really have to build it. What does this number mean? Okay. All right. Now, what if this goes wrong?
See, that would give me anxiety.
But me, that's
who you are,
that's
right?
I can get up early in the morning and I can go through that for hours. Wow. And she was like, "Don't you start with the numbers." But then when she was placed in front of, you were just dealing with
investors,
several people the other day, right? On a call or something. When you were going through the numbers, and she was able to explain every question they asked was the questions that I filled in with the numbers. She was able to explain them in granular detail. And
co-preneurs.
Yes.
Co-preneurs.
So
co-preneurs.
It just makes her ready for it, like when she's in front of it, how to actually address it. So. Well, there's never a number that you cannot explain.
And that's why you guys are doing well in this business, because knowing that you were like, "Oh my gosh, I can't deal with this. I don't want to do it." But realizing that, and I believe this, that actually gets your goal faster. Mm-hmm. Because when you think about women who are not able to do Excel, for some, there's anxiety. I don't want to talk about the numbers. We did some research years ago, and most women did not complete the application once they asked what the projections were.
Oh, wow.
So 1 out of 3 will actually complete that application. Because women, you're asking me, when you speak from a money side or number side, you're speaking about my character. You're speaking about who I am. As when men is, hey, here's what it is. But if I'm supposed to be here, I can build that number up. That's how they see it. They don't see it from that is where I am. This is where I am today, but I'm coming here. And so I think having this balance to be able to build a multi-millionaire, billion-dollar company is what's necessary. Because when you think about it, even if you take the reverse, if you are a single founder and you don't have that skill, it's taking you too long. But when you got it as your 50-50 got it, you got it. Because you all started off the conversation by saying is knowing that you are who you are, who you are. But it makes for you all to blend and integrate a business to be a multi-billion-dollar business. Kudos to you all. Kudos. Because when I go through, and I want to say to you all, I am going to ask this question: who is your favorite couple that does it well in business? Ooh. And this could be any industry. It could be whomever. And based on what you know about them, or it could be somebody we don't know. It doesn't have to be anyone that we know. So it could be somebody you do know. Because I think that there's incredible people that the rest of the world know that we should know.
I'll let you take that.
So I think there will be several.
Oh, good.
And they're all for several reasons.
I love that you said several.
Yeah. When it comes to the celebrity space,
Mm-hmm.
I would probably say Barack and Michelle. And the
Nice.
only reason why I'm saying that, and it's not because of who they are, I feel like anybody that could come from the South Side of Chicago.
Just come on.
Okay. We all know how it is here in Chicago.
Yeah.
To then go on to become the president and the first lady of the United States, to raise your daughters in the White House, to still come out on the other side of that and still be out here doing amazing things like
That's
what
true.
they're doing here in Chicago.
Yeah.
That's something that people don't even have. They've been together
That's
for
true.
I don't know how long.
That's true.
Like, and I feel like that is a blueprint for a lot of people that may be put in hard and difficult situations. Look at what they've done, and they're still going on, striving, books and everything.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Personally, of course, people know our friends. They're successful. The Mael.
I love Monique. I love them.
Yeah,
I've had the pleasure of working with. I love them for that, and I'm glad. I'm so glad you brought them up, because you guys. And when I say remind, that bit of balance of each other, I think they open up the door to be okay with that. Would y'all agree?
Yeah.
I think they open up the door. I'm so excited that you all said that.
Yes. And the reason why I say that, because we knew them way before. So I've been knowing Melvin and Monique since we were teenagers.
Wow.
And then my husband and Melvin used to work together at the same company.
Okay.
And so we've seen them grow from where they were to where they are now.
Yeah.
So when you get to see that growth, that is a special place that we hold in our hearts for,
I love it.
Friends and things like that. And then we also know another married couple where somebody, the husband and wife couple, the husband was a successful football player.
Okay.
Napoleon Harris and his wife.
Yeah. Okay.
And to see them come from where they've come from to now him being a senator. And we see how they are with their children. Like, that is what I feel like it sets the bar, and it is also a great example for the fact that people that don't believe that there are Black husbands in the household, Black men in the household, like they are there and they're representing amazing fathers, and each one of them have daughters. So I think that says a lot, because a lot of times, men with daughters, they don't get the recognition that they should. You're raising daughters. It's very difficult nowadays. And, just what Napoleon is doing, like here in the city, and the fact that you've come back from all of this fame to come back and then pour back into your community. I think that is a resilience and a remarkable what it says to speak to his character. So I mean, those would be the three that I would say.
And I love that you honored some folks that's out of Chicago. Like, I think that's another thing.
Those
we don't
people.
have we hear, we talked about this before the show, is like highlighting like how dope Chicago is, and these entrepreneurs that are coming out of Chicago, and to be able to speak on that is powerful. Whether they stay here is neither here or there, but we know their stories from being from Chicago. So tell me your one or two favorite couples doing great business. She stole yours, but
because those that's
y'all
my
co-founders.
So. So we got that's my family. Everyone she spoke on is my family. I hold them in high regard. They're leading the charge. Very great people. But I have to go back to my childhood, because of, as far as couples that gave me a sense of, it wasn't a lot. But there was the Grimes family. There was Mr. and Mrs. Grimes.
Okay.
They were a couple. One was a nurse. One was a radiologist.
Okay.
And to see that, that you had a household out of the whole block they had their own thing going on, as far as they took care of the house. They had a lot of kids.
Okay.
There's a lot of Grimes out there. Okay. Different projects too.
Okay.
Good people.
Okay.
But
I know a Grimes.
It's probably one. It's probably one of them. There's a lot of Grimes. So so looking at how he would do every morning, he'd get up, go to work. They would get up, come home, take care of the family, take care of the lawn, take care of the house. And then the Treadwell family, which they live next to me. The Treadwells were there's a big family. There's a lot of them also.
Okay.
But the kids were very skillful and building engines, cars, and motorcycles. And I'm like, man, these kids, they're brilliant. Like,
Right.
oh my God.
You had it in front of you. That's
So
awesome.
I'm like, man, they were my next door neighbors. But my biggest hero, obviously was my grandmother. She taught me how to, be a man. It's hard for a woman to teach that, especially, she's not that, right? But she taught me how to be a man, how to be responsible, how to wear basically both hats, and how to take care of yourself.
That's awesome.
One thing my wife would tell you, in crunch time, this is my best time. She always said, you always like to wait to the last minute, but that comes from me wanting to work better under pressure. I put myself in that situation.
I've never heard that. Put yourself under pressure.
Because you know what? We were just talking about that on the way here. I said, it's game time. Yeah. Because I want to be in this situation. Most people are like, no, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Give it to somebody else.
Yes. It's being uncomfortable.
But you have to do what's uncomfortable get comfortable.
That's right. You are absolutely right.
Because it's going to force you to do things and think in ways you never, It's going to force you to tap in to more brain power, more brain space. Okay, now I need to do X, Y, Z. This is what I didn't look at it this way. Now I have to, right? So it just helps redirect. But I give, a lot of that credit to my grandmother because
I love it.
I always
What's grandma's name?
Gertrude Herron.
Miss
Trudy.
Miss Trudy. We love you, Miss Trudy. We need to shout out the grandmas, baby. Because the grandmas, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Okay,
yes, rest in peace. My angel. She has definitely, she's working on me still.
Yeah.
Where she's at, and that's powerful.
Yeah. And the ancestors, we need to do more of that and honor that. Honor that goodness instead of honoring the things that are not giving us any good in this world. So, we ask everyone as this question. So I have to ask you out, why do Black businesses matter?
I feel like it actually lends faith to our culture. I guess that's the best way to put it. Like, it gives a lot of people faith. When you can see businesses, like you said, when you go to Brooklyn, like you see all this, I'll go here, and they know you by the first name. Yeah. To me, that lends a lot to our culture. And it shows people that no matter what people say, because 10, 15 years ago, there were not hardly any Black $1 million brands.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, now we're looking at brands that are now moving closer to billionaire
status.
Oh,
yeah.
And I feel like that is helping build and mold our culture to show people that it's okay. There are a lot of people that they don't want to go to college. They want to build a brand.
Yeah.
They want to build something for themselves. And while I'm not discouraging anybody from going to college, but parents, you have to take time to really know your child and know what it is that they want to do, because maybe their goal may be to be a broadcaster, and there's nothing that says you have to go to school to get a degree. There are people that are making millions of dollars on YouTube by doing their own thing.
That's right.
So I think that us as a generation, we have to encourage this, because these millionaires, I'm just going to be honest with you, they're not becoming millionaires because they're getting up going to a 9 to 5.
That's right.
Day.
That's right.
They're using their
AI.
creativity. Yeah.
They're using everything. And there's a labor shortage because people are starting their own companies or side gigs or what have you. And it's okay, because you get to define the time that you want to do what you want to do, and nobody has to tell you anything.
Absolutely.
What about you? Why do Black businesses matter?
Lit.
Okay.
Legacy. Inspiration.
Okay.
And tutelage.
Okay.
Right? Because
we might have to take that one. We're going to take that one. I like that.
So you want to, obviously you want to leave a legacy of what you have created, what you stand for, how you built it, how you got there, the roadmap, right? That's your legacy. That's an indelible mark.
Okay.
Inspiration, because you want to inspire the next generation and the current generation, or the one that's after you. It doesn't, sometimes when we think about inspiration, you think about somebody that's behind you, or somebody that is coming out of school. It could be peer to peer. It could be someone that is older. It doesn't matter. True. It's inspiration, right?
Yeah.
And tutelage. You want to be able to teach.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that.
Teach, learn, fulfill. It's a sense of fulfillment when you have that tutelage. And one thing we do not do is that the tutelage part, because we feel like we shouldn't feel like that someone is going to be better or someone is going to, take something away from us. We should do it because that's what we want to happen. That's why it's lit.
I like Black Businesses Matter.
Lit.
Yes.
Lit.
We ain't heard that one.
Yep.
And let me say this. We ask that question to everyone and we get a different response. And I love that because it shows how very different we are while we are all Black. But knowing that the way that we see the impact of Black business is different. And then the fact that 2 of your words is part of why we built this whole podcast. It's in our description. So I do have to ask this question. We've never asked this question, so it's going to be a little fun. Because we've been talking about Black love, what DIY product, because now this is a shameless plug for y'all, should couples do together as part of the 103 collection? Shameless plug.
Okay, I'm going to roll with it. The marshmallow body scrub.
Oh,
I love that.
Okay, couples. Couples.
You can get you a nice
exfoliation.
You can get your nice exfoliation.
Okay.
You can get some real character building from that, and you can also get.
He's trying to figure out a way to say everybody know what he's trying to say. Okay.
And listen, I'm trying to.
Hey, this is our show. You can say whatever you want.
You know, I'm a fan of massages.
Yeah.
I love massages.
Okay.
Every time we go on every time we take a vacation, we get a massage.
Okay.
So it's like that's a given. Even here, I just told him last week, I'm like, we got to schedule a massage.
I love it.
So, I mean, hey, you don't even have to go get one. Just get the marshmallow body scrub and come home and
marshmallow
exfoliate.
body scrub.
Yes.
Ladies and gents, right? Get this. Create a date night at home, right? You don't have to go out. If you do go out, that's fine too. But if you want to stay home and instead of Netflix and chill, you can do 103 collection and chill.
That's right.
Get that marshmallow body butter.
103 collection and
That's right.
chill. I had to ask that because we've been talking about love. And so making sure that couples who run businesses together, that they take time to care for their beauty. And so as we close, I do want to ask you all, what's next for 103 collection? What's next?
So the reason why we're here, number one, is because we're God led.
Amen.
Right?
Yes.
You have to really give God the glory when nobody's watching, when no one's around. You have to spend time with them. And as we spend time with God to understand what our roadmap is, understand what the big next thing is, we're working on something very special. Well, my wife, she has mastermind this. So I'm not taking any credit, but I'll do the numbers.
Of course you're going to do the numbers. And she needs you to do the numbers.
I'm going to do the numbers. That's the next big thing. Do you want to just give a sneak peek on that? Would you like to?
Sneak peek?
You want to?
Let's just say
touch on it.
Let's
High level.
This. It definitely has something to do with travel and tourism. So we can
travel.
put that out there.
Travel and
some
tourism.
Some that hasn't been touched.
Oh, and when we got this information on Black Businesses Matter, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
It's an exclusive, and I'll take it. But keep us posted on it so that you guys can come back on that and tell us more about that. Because I'm excited. I think we've had one guest in travel and leisure. These a couple. They built a list of all the Airbnb hosts to travel across the world. I can't think of their names, but they've been on the show too. So we all about that travel life and making sure that as we travel that we support our own. And so then I have to ask you, what brings you joy?
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's the easy one for me now.
Think. Oh well, you go ahead. Go right ahead.
You know what brings me joy is, being able to, I look at my wife every day, and I'm able to say that not only did we make something special, we are able to leave someone special, and we just had our grandkid. We just have our grandchild.
Y'all got a grandbaby up in here?
5 months tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes.
Congratulations. So, their products is for grandparents too.
Right.
Yes. We're gonna call it, right? So it's funny because you never thought, as we tell people we're grandparents, like, what? Really?
Wow.
I'm throwing it out there. We're vulnerable, right?
I love it.
We have to be this way.
That's awesome.
Sometimes we don't show our vulnerability because we just want to. To me, I'm just like, I'm here because this is real as it's gonna get. You know, you ask me, I tell you.
That's right.
He is the. He lights me
he
up,
thinks
and I
that
FaceTime.
is his
I FaceTime
child.
him.
He
I
thinks it's his
FaceTime him
baby.
all the time. He's only 4 months. I FaceTime him all the time. But you know what? I pour into him. I tell him every day that you're going to be great. You're going to be amazing.
That's beautiful.
Angels will protect you all the days of your life. You know, you're going to be a man of God. You know, I'm putting it in him, right?
Yes.
And he just lights up when he hears that. He lights up. It's
that
amazing.
Brings me joy
Yes.
right
He
now.
lights up. And his face, I'm gonna show you something after the podcast, but his face lights up, and he's like, so we can't wait to get him. You know, we get him as much as we can, but that, you know, him, all my boys, they bring.
I'm gonna need y'all to put him on a commercial.
Yeah, he will. He is.
Okay.
He is
okay.
He is and we're not bragging, but he's a looker.
He's a looker. He's handsome. Let's call it now.
Yes.
I don't care. Nepotism, so what? Who cares? You cute. You cute.
We would think he need to be on the billboard downtown Chicago representing this thing.
Yes,
for the
that's
future.
that's how we're supposed to do, right? If we've got, so you're gonna have to show me that picture. What brings you joy?
Ooh, okay.
I better be.
I want to say, it's a step. It's a whole bunch of things, but I would say number one would be
I love it.
My relationship with God, and I feel like it's gotten better over the years. Like I've gotten more connected. Like he knows in the morning, every day I wake up, I pray before I touch my phone. Before I get out of the bed, awesome. I pray, and I do a little meditation too.
Okay,
because I want to have a clear mind in the morning.
Yeah.
And so I would say that's at the top. Of course, my family, my husband. Like I want to see people happy. I want to see people enjoying life. I want to see people prospering. I think that's so important. And then besides that, my husband knows, like I would literally be on the phone with my friends, helping them, giving them ideas. Like I want to see everybody win.
Yeah.
He knows. And he's like, oh my gosh, you're still on the phone with them. And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to help, this person. They have a pitch tomorrow. They want to be connected to this person. I feel like I'm a connector when it comes to those type of things because I'm always sharing information. People know, they reach out to me. Hey, do you know somebody, or can you help me with this? And I think that brings me so much joy because, I sat with one friend for about 3 hours helping her complete her pitch deck. Because I'm like, no, I want you to get these deals. Like, I want you to get it.
But here's what's crazy, and I love it because relationship means the world to you.
Absolutely.
This is how you were able to do that. When you shared your story of how he cared for his grandma, I know when you sit around, it comes like full circle because you can't do this thing without it being relational. And relationship starts with your relationship with Christ.
Yes.
Right.
And so I love that. You guys are amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You guys are amazing.
Thank you so much.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited that we did this show on Black Love during Black History Month. It was something that I came up with I think in like December and November, and it came. And to have you guys here, it has just been such a joy. And to know that in this month of Black history that we have people like you two that are making history, because my whole goal is that, don't get me wrong, I love all of the people that have gone before us and created, but I also love that are doing it right now, and we're living and we're seeing them and they're still here.
Right.
And so guys, Melinda, Delfondo.
You got it. You got it.
Herron of 103 Collect. And let me say this, guys. I want to tell you all, you can get to them on Instagram. What's your handle?
103 Collection.
TikTok.
103 Collection. Everything.
Facebook is 103 Collection. Okay, I just want to make sure. And YouTube 103 Collection.
Yes.
They got some cute videos, y'all. So y'all should go and check them out. They're really, really cute. They also were just featured in Polsky's newsletter. It's like 40,000 people in that newsletter. So keep an eye on them, follow them, support them, buy their products. And for my couples and grandparents, go out there and do your DIY. That's what we're talking about. And that's it, guys. I just want to say thank y'all for being the best guests live. I hadn't done this in a while, so thank y'all for making me feel comfortable in here.
Yes.
And I just want to say thank you so much for listening and tuning in to another episode of Black Businesses Matter. See you all next week.
The Black Businesses Matter podcast is produced by the L3 Agency, a culturally sensitive influencer, marketing, and communications firm in Chicago, where relationships are our currency, passion is our profit maker, and people are our bottom line. Follow us on Instagram at Black Businesses Matter.